I decided to come to college because I felt like I needed to get away from Little Village.
I had a trunk party, which is like you just get this big old trunk and like everyone just like fills it up with things that you need for college. And I feel like half of the stuff in there, I was like, I'm not gonna use this. But like they didn't know because they didn't go to college.
Towards the end of my high school career, I found myself getting into some trouble that I didn't really want to be a part of. And so I saw college as not only an outlet to further my education, but an outlet to kind of leave Little Village and get away from some of the negativity and some of the violence out there.
My mom did not have the opportunity to go to college. She came to the U.S. when she was 16, got her GE, and then she also got her associates, but that's like the farthest she got in school. So ever since I've been little, she's always like, you have to continue your education, and that's something that I want to do for her, but also for myself, seeing that like, especially in the world that we live in today, your education is something that'll always stick with you.
Where I live, it was just like a lot of violence, and I would say a lot of our fathers were in prison for like drugs, fighting, like having guns, just a lot of different things. And so a lot of people just get trapped in this cycle of like making fast money in order to see their family prosper, and my mom didn't want us to be involved in gangs or anything that would prevent us from having a good life. It just seemed like college was the only option in order to make it out of where we come from.
Little Village, or La Viejita as it's known, is a rich Mexican culture that I like to call the closest thing you'll get to Mexico in Chicago. Unfortunately, it's known for a lot of its violence and negativity. It's very gang infested, and so as a result, there's a lot of gang violence. Once you look past that, people really embrace the culture, celebrate the culture, and celebrate who we are as Mexicans.
Police say a 30-year-old man and a 25-year-old man were standing outside when 3 suspects inside a blue car drove up and shot them. The 2 victims were taken to the hospital in serious...
A friend of mine was killed in Little Village, unfortunately. He was involved in gang violence, and it caught up to him. A big thing in Little Village, especially with gang violence, is retaliation. And so when my friend was killed, I knew things in Little Village were going to start getting crazy. After he died, it was kind of obvious for me that I wanted to get out of there. I didn't want to be around all that, and so I left. My parents have always been supportive of everything I do, whether it was back when I was playing basketball in high school, coming to college, anything that I did. They've always been my biggest supporters, and so they've always been the people that I can speak to about anything.
I'm very selfless because of my mom. Even though we didn't have a lot, my mom always helped everybody. She's very hardworking. Like I said, she raised 3 children on her own, never complained about anything.
My mom's always gonna be there when no one else is. She's always like pushing me to keep doing more than I expect.
I cried all the time. I went home every weekend like my freshman year. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time away from home. No one is ever reaching down to the people who really need help, and they're asking them, what can we do to make you feel better here? What can we do to help you succeed here? One of my friends, I met her in English 103. She was like super smart. She couldn't come back because her parents couldn't afford it. And I was like, this is so unfair. Like, she can't come to school. And like, she's super smart, but like, they just don't have the funds. She was one of 7 kids. People who want to be here but can't be here. And then you have like other people who don't give a shit about being here and they're partying and doing whatever they want. My friend didn't essentially have that opportunity to do that.
When I started college, I did have a moment where I felt lost. When I was transitioning from the health field to the business world, I had a lot of doubts. Why am I here? What am I doing? Is this the right choice for me? Should I take some time off to just figure some things out and work?
My mom actually told me like I wasn't gonna be able to come back my sophomore year because we couldn't afford housing. And I was like, well, like there's this really cool job that will like pay for your housing and your meal plan, so like I'm just gonna go for it. I didn't even know we were like paying to live in these dorms. I just figured it was something like, I don't know, that just like came with college.
I just didn't feel like I was as smart as some of the people here. So in that aspect, I was a little nervous. I was nervous that I was gonna be viewed as the kind of like the dumb Mexican kid. I think in high school, people look at you for your class rank. That was a big deal in my high school. Out of the 200 kids here, where do you fall? And I think in college, it doesn't matter. People don't care about that.
I remember in math 101, I think I got a C on my first test, and I started crying because I've never gotten a C in my life. And I was like, I don't know how to study college. Like these questions, they didn't even teach us in class. Like, I was just like, I'm not gonna be good at this.
I think before I got here, I had a lot of help in terms of understanding what college is all about and what college is like. After getting here, not so much. And I think a part of it was me just not really seeking the help. Prior to getting here, I was very used to like people coming up to me if they felt like I needed the help. Where once I kind of got here, it was more like you need to seek the help if you feel like you need it. And so I didn't do that.
I'm not afraid to ask for help, so I went into office hours, I went into the writing center, I talked to like the peer educator in the class who helps you with any questions you have. I set up group meets to talk to other people in the class to see if they wanted to get together and study. So I definitely just took advantage of any resource that the campus provided. And I also thought that NIU had it in our like tuition. It was just super hard, just learning how to do good in class. And then I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to because no one I knew went to school. I didn't know like how to get involved or like, you know, how to go about going to office hours. Like, do you just walk in and say like, hello, I'm here, help me? Or like, do you have to build a relationship with the professor before you go? And so it was just a lot about college that I didn't know.
For the first time in my life, I was not under my parents' roof. I didn't have the guidance of my mom and dad. There was no one just right down the street that was like, hey, can I talk to you about this? It was kind of like, here you are with a whole bunch of new people that you've never met before, you know nothing about, and your parents aren't there with you anymore either. And so figure it out. And it was kind of like a real push into adulthood. Me, I came, and as I mentioned, I did the major switch. And so once the major switch happens, it's like, okay, well, what are you doing in college? Why are you wasting your time in college if you don't even know what you want to study? And they look at my sister and how my sister flew through it, and why aren't you flying through it? And my other cousin who's going to have a master's degree after her 5 years, and why are you only having a bachelor's after your 5 years? And so that pressure, I always hear that chirping about my sister did this, why aren't you doing this? And my cousins are doing that, why aren't you doing that? And in the beginning it was difficult. Now that I know what I want to do and I'm seeing the progression and the steps are coming, it doesn't bother me as much anymore. The pressure has always been there, for sure. Not from my parents, but from the rest of my family, yeah.
It was very motivating when school would get tough, like when it was time to pick colleges. It was like, do I really want to go to college? Like, what do I want to do? But at the same time, I'd always remember school's always going to be with me. I do feel guilty sometimes, just seeing like all the hard work and hours that she like puts into her job and how she's always like tired when she comes home. It's like, here, do my homework for me. I'll like cook for you. Like, you should be the one that should be doing this. She's provided so much for me, and I do feel sometimes a bit disappointed that she didn't have this chance, but she's been very supportive through me, and I feel like she's been living her college career through me in a way.
What I do feel guilty about sometimes is how hard they've had to work for me to get the benefit of it. I think, especially my father's worked in a kitchen as a chef and a cook for 20 years, 2 jobs, 7 days a week. to see him dedicate all that time to my education and not his life, and sometimes I feel guilt about that, and I wish I could give that time back to him. But I mean, the best I could do is get my degree and then be able to pay him back afterwards.
I didn't think that I would make it because I didn't know how to be a college student because I was the first in my family to go. But just the fact that I was able to maneuver campus and academics, just everything about college has taught me that I'm strong and that it was all worth it. The president actually talked about me at my college graduation, so like everyone has that video and my mom has it like on DVD and she watches it all the time, and so I know I've like made my mom proud, and like the people who have supported me, like I know they're glad that I didn't give up.
While at NIU, she dedicated herself to service by joining groups such as the National Residence Hall Honorary, the Black Student Union, Alpha Phi Omega Service Organization, Husky Alternative Breaks, and the Foreign Language Residence Hall Program. She also worked as a residence hall community advisor. She did all that while maintaining a 3.9 grade point average and graduates magna cum laude today with a degree in community leadership and civic engagement.
My advice to high school students who are thinking about going to college is to do it. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't know what you want to study, you don't know what you're going to do, just continue your education, because that's always going to be there with you. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need help.
College is a one-of-a-kind experience that you definitely can't get anywhere else, for sure. You definitely can't get the experience you get in college anywhere else. And for that alone, I think it's worth it.
College is an opportunity to grow as an individual and actually realize who you are and what you want to be.
Since I've graduated, I think like my community and like my younger like cousins and like people who go to the Unity Community Center, they're just like, this is possible, like I can do it, she can do it. Like a lot of people, like I see myself in like the younger kids, and I'm like, I literally went through what you went through, and like I'm a living testimony like this can happen. So like I always go back and speak at the Unity's like Thanksgiving dinner. I'm just like this person that goes and like motivates these kids to like never give up, and like it's weird because you think I'm like famous, but like I'm really not.
There's gonna be a couple feelings. One, relief that I'm finally done, but there's also gonna be excitement for what my future holds. There's gonna be joy for getting it done, and I feel like because I decided to go to college so late, I've always had a lot of pressure on myself, put on by myself, to successfully get this done. And so once that's successfully completed, I feel like that pressure will be finally off my shoulders.
I'm going to be very emotional. The feeling after I walk across that stage in May is going to be very emotional, but very rewarding. Like, it's all paid off, and this is just the beginning. There's so much more to come. I'm gonna cry. I'm good.